What's up, everyone? Vince Ingenito here. I am with the founder of Stellar Jockeys, Hugh. How you doing, Hugh?
Doing great.
And we're playing some Brigador. This is your new game that's in Steam Early Access right now. That doesn't look like that's going to be good for those houses' future. I don't think this neighborhood has much of a real estate market in its anytime in this near future. So tell me about what you're doing here and what's Brigador all about.
So Brigador is it's an isometric combat game, but for short, we just call it a Kool-Aid Man simulator. You drive around. We have mechs, tanks, hovercrafts, and you just level parts of cities. You're kind of the bad guy for most of the game. So yeah, in this case, I'm driving the Killdozer, and
Is that what that's called, the Killdozer?
Yeah, the Killdozer. On this particular mission, you're a disgruntled caddy who is using this the current turn of events in the game to blow off a little steam before he gets off world. So his final farewell to the clubhouse.
I love it. I love it. So, oh wow. So this with this particular vehicle, the Killdozer, it looks like you can actually just ram right through even vehicles and, and get some damage.
Especially these poor little power suits don't really stand much of a chance.
He was not long for this world. But so now, as much as there's this immediate element of full destructibility to the environment, and you definitely want to make it kind of immediately fun and accessible to pretty much any kind of player who just wants to get in and have fun. There is actually a surprising, especially for an isometric action game like this, there's a surprising amount of kind of nuts and bolts and little things that you have to consider with the different vehicles and with your loadouts. So if you're done being a public menace, Hugh, you want to maybe we jump out real quick and just kind of show people some of the different loadout options you have and the different vehicles. So you mentioned before, I think there are tanks, there are mechs.
Yes.
Nice.
So right now this is just a small selection of what's going to be ultimately available with the game that ships. We're shooting for about 40 playable vehicles with 40 different weapons between them. So with every single vehicle that you can pick, there's a selection of two weapon slots and a special ability slot. And then each vehicle has a large set of stats, including things like directional armor, movement speed, acceleration. So
yeah, even the weapon slot types. I don't mean to interrupt, but even those weapon slot types are relevant too, right?
Yeah.
You've got some that are turret based and others that are more like pintle mounted.
Yeah. So for example, pintle mount. Yeah. So like this guy, the Chook is this mech has 2 auxiliary slots. You can see like the shape of the icon near the pilot in the middle shows the type of the mount. So if you get some of these really small vehicles, I've got a selection of cannons, machine guns, mortars, lasers, but it's a smaller set of weapons. Whereas when I get this big honking thing, I've got this giant howitzer that I'm going to show, as well as we'll do a mass driver.
Yeah, impress us, Hugh.
Yes.
Entertain us.
I'll also do some comedic. We'll go with a stealth kit for this giant mech just for shenanigans.
I like it. And not only that, but your pilot plays a role in things too. Is that right?
Yeah. Actually, I want to pick a different level, so I'm just gonna jump out. So what we're doing with the pilots is that they're sort of like the skulls or mutators from Halo.
Right.
Where they will determine sort of like spawn difficulty. There are different modifiers for the game, so like how
that weapon is so cool. Sorry.
How quickly enemies are going to be increasing in strength. Because one of the biggest differences in Brigador is that instead of most other games that are run-based, like Binding of Isaac, where it's entirely about just how far you can get, with Brigador, the progression in the game is based on the money that you earn, and you only earn money. You only get to bank the money if you survive. So on any given mission, there's different parameters that you can set up, but you only get to bank that money if you get to the spaceport level, beat it, and get off world.
Right. So you're not just trying to get every inch you can at all costs. You're trying to get to specific kind of checkpoints, as you would, or like certain landmarks, so that you can ensure that you're going to have some resources to actually make progress. So I just saw you level a lot of things with what is that?
This is a siege howitzer. This is basically the most powerful weapon in the game, and
Yeah, I
it's
can
a
see
delight
why.
to use.
So now, what's interesting to me, getting back into kind of all these different nuances that the game has, even for an action game. So I noticed that the red targeting reticle and the blue one, they rotate at kind of different speeds. So why is that?
Yeah, so right now I've got an artillery weapon and a laser equipped. What we do is, you'll notice as I move forwards and backwards, that blue arc shifts, and that's because your weapons inherit the momentum of your vehicle. So
Right.
if you're moving if you're in like a really fast like hovercraft or something, it's actually really hard to aim some of the more like high trajectory, slow traveling weapons. And so we separate those out, and also there's a different mount traverse speed. So like this mech that I've got right now, they're both forward mounted weapons, but other vehicles might have a really slow turn speed on the main mount, but then they'll have a turret that's really fast to rotate. So
Right.
my ability to like turn and engage a target behind me is going to vary between different vehicles.
Absolutely. So you want to make sure that you have the right weapon, kind of for the right mech. Because if you've got a faster moving mech, you probably want something that can also a weapon that can traverse fast as well, so you can circle strafe effectively and stuff like that.
Or yeah, there's just a lot of different ways. What we wanted to do with how flexible the weapon and equipment system is, and also just with how many vehicles we have, we wanted to make it so that there's like, if there's a build or a specific thing you want to try, it might not be optimal, but it's something that you can do, and it'll
Sure.
be fun.
Now, I saw you're about to run into a captain that just kind of grazed by, right? Or did you kill him already?
Yeah. I mean, I've got a good weapon for it. So,
Well, I was
yeah.
gonna say, like, so another interesting kind of thing. Again, speaking to why you might want to circle strafe or think about your positioning relative to your opponents is there's actually directional armor in this game. Some enemies are stronger have the stronger frontal arc than they do on the side or the rear. You get more damage. Of course, it doesn't matter when you got a gun like this.
Yes. Yeah, the directional damage isn't really being showcased here. But yeah, you've got there's a great mechanism for engaging enemy targets. And the other thing, too, is that for the free play mode of the game, there's two different modes. We have a story campaign that's going to be 20 missions. And in that one, you have specific loadouts and specific objectives. In the free play mode, which is more like what you'd see in Binding of Isaac or Nuclear Throne, what we have is, at the top right of the screen, you've got 3 different objective markers. There's kill everyone, kill the captains, or destroy the objectives. Completing just one of those fulfills the requirements for the mission and will earn you money. And then you can move on to other levels. But what that means is that there's a lot of different loadouts that are completely viable. So like you can roll full stealth with like an artillery weapon and just not even engage any enemy targets. You can just, try and sneak around everyone,
And then park
destroy
yourself.
the objectives,
Yeah.
and get out. So it actually is possible to beat not just individual levels, but entire runs without killing anyone.
Cool.
Or you can go full psychopath and level, entire city blocks and all of its denizens.
Like a certain someone I know is doing right now. So the game's got a kind of an old school appeal, but it's not just the gameplay. It's kind of the philosophy that you have behind its tools as well. You come from the Doom and StarCraft era of design. So what elements of that era have kind of influenced you here, and in terms of how you support mods or player generated content?
Sure. So all I can think about is the fact that I grew up on PC. Doom and Wolfenstein were my first sort of major memories.
Sure.
And Doom and StarCraft are pretty much the reasons why I got into video games. My brother and I messed with Doom wads early on. One of my first custom art pieces I ever did was recoloring the gauntlet on the Hexen fighter. I was like, this needs to be a power flame gauntlet. So I messed around with a lot of that stuff. And the problem is just a lot of games either just are completely hostile to any of that kind of tinkering.
Sure.
Or just don't even engender any of that kind of stuff at all. And it's understandable with how especially if you're doing Steam achievements and stuff, you have to kind of protect the game data. But for us, the priority is I want people to tinker with the game. I want people to be messing around with show me how my data values for the game are wrong, and that there's actually a much more interesting game somewhere hidden in here. I feel like a developer's dream is to get Long Ward.
Right, of course.
And have someone go in and do this total shift of how your game plays and make something that is separate and like very interesting unto itself. So one of the things we're going to do, I'm pulling up the debug console right now. These are the developer tools that we use to build the game.
And this is going to be available to people when they play.
This ships with the game. So like right now we're in a build of the game that's just currently on Steam right now. And if you hit F1, you pull up a developer console, and you can change all of this stuff. So right now, you know, I'm gonna change my mech to be something else. So I'm gonna change to be a light tank. I'm gonna respawn. And now I'm this little thing. Data values are kind of funky. I just picked this randomly.
It's
so
all
like,
good.
you know, I've got different weapons and stuff. But then say I want to change. Okay, this gun has a cooldown of 2.5 seconds. Let's change that to about a split second. Let's make it shoot 10 rounds instead of 1.
Oh boy.
Gonna
fill the screen with nonsense.
Give a little shotgun blast. And
Nice.
Yeah.
Now you're shredding stuff. I love it.
So yeah, like all of this stuff can be live edited in the game, and I would, you know, I would love nothing more than to see like what kind of crazy stuff people can come up with.
Oh, and I'm sure that with that kind of power at their fingertips, people are going to come up with some super interesting stuff. So very cool. That's Brigador. We're in early access right now, and do you have a release date yet for when people can see the final release?
Yeah, absolutely. We are announcing June 2nd is when Brigador is going to be coming out, version 1.0 on Steam. We're of course going to be still developing after that, but that's the main release. And we've also got before that, we're going to be releasing the level editing tools as well. So for people who want to get into that, like build these kinds of maps and stuff. If you've built a map in the original StarCraft, you can build a map in this.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's super easy.
Cool.
And like if anyone's coming to PAX East, we'll be there as well. So come see us.
Sweet, beautiful. Well, that's Brigador. Again, it's on Steam Early Access right now, coming to Steam in full release on June 2nd. Hugh, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
And for more on Brigador, stay right here on IGN.